Attitude is everything. Attitude is the way you think. Your attitude is something other people can actually see. They can hear it in your voice, see it in the way you move, feel it when they are with you. Your attitude expresses itself in everything you do, all the time, wherever you are. Positive attitudes always invite positive results. Negative attitudes always invite negative results. Attitude makes a difference every hour, every day, in everything that you do for your entire life. What you get out of each thing you do will equal the attitude you have when you do it. Anything that you do with a positive attitude will work for you. Anything you do with a negative attitude will work against you. If you have a positive attitude, you are looking for ways to solve the problems that you can solve, and you are letting go of things over which you have no control. You can develop a positive attitude by emphasizing the good, by being tough-minded, and refusing defeat. Whatever is true, right, pure, think about such things. Think positive. Philippians 4:8, and Philippians 4:4-20, and Philippians 3:14. Press on. Here's a quick math lesson after that poem, Attitude is Everything, and Thinking Positive. This is for multiplying and dividing integers. Integers are positive and negative numbers. You've done this since 2nd or 3rd grade. A positive times a positive is positive. A positive times a negative is negative. A negative times a positive is negative, and a negative times a negative is positive. And this also works for dividing. A positive divided by a positive is positive. A positive divided by a negative is negative. A negative divided by a positive is negative. And a negative times or divided by a negative is positive. The hint I remember is if you have an odd number that you're multiplying of negative signs, the answer is negative. So here I've got 1 negative, my answer is negative. Here I've got 1 negative, my answer is negative. Now, when I first started teaching years ago in 1982, for those of you interested, one of my students told me this, and I don't necessarily agree with it, but if it helps you remember, let's use it. This student said, if a positive is a good person or a good thing, and a negative is a bad person or a bad thing, here's a little story. If something good happens to a good person, that's good. If something good happens to a bad person, that's bad. If something bad happens to a good person, that's bad. If something bad happens to a bad person, that's good. They deserved it anyway. Now, I don't necessarily agree with that. I am all for mercy. But that's just a little silly story to help you remember. Remember, if you have an odd number of negatives, the answer is negative. And if you have multiplying more than 2 numbers, count your odd numbers. If I said negative 3 times positive 2, notice if it doesn't have a sign, we know it's positive. But if I said negative 3 times positive 2, that answer would be negative 6, because a negative times a positive is a negative. But if I added to this, so here I've got a negative, and a negative. Well, I know it's an odd number of negatives, so my answer is going to be negative. 3 times 2 is 6. 6 times 2 is 12. 12 times 1 is 12. That answer would be negative 12, because there's an odd number of negatives. if we had the number -1 to the second power, that would be -1 times -1. That would be +1. But if we had -1 to the third power, an odd number of negatives, that answer would be -1.